I was very fortunate to get the King Fellowship and spend some time here in the studio experimenting with glass, because it was a very new art form. At the time, I was the only glass artist or hot glass artist from Hopi. I felt that I wanted to take it further because, number one, it's a totally foreign medium. It's not a traditional Hopi art. So you're kind of testing the waters, you're pushing the envelope, you're kind of going against convention. And I guess I'm just that kind of a guy. You know, I just like to live at the edge all the time. The period that I spent here was very, very enriching. That was probably one of the best experiences of my entire life. The time here was so valuable that I reflect on it, that back when I was working in the studio making those first few pieces, I had no clue where I would be 10 years down the road. And for that, I'm just really, really grateful for that opportunity. Last year, I found a landscape trailer on Craigslist. So I picked it up. It was very rusty. I refurbished it, sandblasted it, and painted it up. And it looked pretty decent. So then I started rebuilding the summer and fall of last year. And you know, I'd work on it as I could. So this is the unit that I brought with me. We have equipment here to do hot glass work. To the left here is the annealing oven, which is used to cool the glass slowly so that so the glass doesn't shock. It won't crack or bust or anything like that, which is very critical. And this one on the right is a combination glory hole and glass melt furnace. So there is molten glass in here, and the round opening up on the upper portion is used to reheat your pieces as you're going along. I have a series of pipes and punties that I use. This one is used for blowing bubbles. These two are used primarily for creating solid pieces. This little plate here is called a marver, and this is where we do some of our primary shaping and picking up of the different color frit. You'll see this typically in a studio anywhere. And then on the ground here, I have colored glass that we call frit. And frit is incorporated into the clear glass to create different objects. And then over here, we have the gaffer's bench where a lot of the work takes place. A series of hand tools that we use. These are called jacks. These are tweezers, diamond shears, and a variety of trim shears. And these are the basic tools that we use. We also have wooden blocks to help with the shaping, and some optic molds here that we can create ribbed pieces. So you put your glass piece in here, blow into it, and it'll assume this form on the inside. You gotta have music. Well, I do anyway. And your source of nourishment. So those are all the necessary items you need to blow glass. I think I'll make a spirit figure. That's kind of the signature thing that we do. And when I do those, I throw in a piece of dichroic glass. When I put that into anything, that is representing all of the hard substances that we incorporate into our lives, like bricks, stones. And the purple is the color of the horizon before the sun comes up, because what we're taught is to be morning people. They tell us that the reason why we want you to be up by then is so that you can go jog or meditate or pray, whatever you do. They tell us when the sky is purple, that's the purest part of the day, and it's always full of strength. During my growing up, I had several mentors, as a matter of fact. One of them is Charles Lomatewama. He was heading up what we call the Lomatewama Society, the Bean Dance Society, when I was in my early teens when I got initiated. So over the following decades, and he passed away early 90s, but I learned so much from him, and just some things just stick in your mind when you listen to people. One thing that he told me, he said, if you want a beautiful life, you surround yourself with beautiful things. I look to sterling silver jewelry, which is a very, very well-grounded art form with Hopi nowadays. But it took one person to bring silver to Hopi. And that one person planted a seed. And 100 years later, we have a very strong community of jewelers who specialize in the overlay method. And so I have the same type of dreams. I see myself as planting a seed. And 100 years from now, hopefully we'll have Hopi glassblowers and a strong community of them as well out on Hopi. You just want to create movement in the glass. When I conduct a class, my opening line is, this class is not about learning how to blow glass. This class is about learning how to overcome fear. Fear of temperature, fear of failure, fear of burning yourself, fear of not being understood, fear of not getting it. So I try to get people to understand that you grow with this. You grow with the gift that you have. You just don't have it 100% at the get-go. People ask me, are you self-taught? I said, well, no, because I can't teach myself something I don't know, but I am self-learned. So it's a constant learning process. I found that when you're constantly encountering challenges and problems, it's an opportunity to grow. That and coffee really helps keep my brain cells going. I'm not finished learning. I've learned that the only time a person fails is when they quit trying. And with younger people today out on the reservation, I believe that it's part of our jobs as artists to instill younger people that their culture has great value, that it doesn't have to be in this shoebox that we call culture, that we can go and try different things. If some people don't like what you're doing, they've got a problem. I don't have a problem. And we as artists need to support each other like that. Let's face it, this is 2014. This is not 1897 anymore. This is an example of cane. This we call rod. This one is homemade. It's just like kept putting color into a glob of glass until you're at the density that you want to be, and then you try to make a cylinder as best you can and then just break it off. This is frit as well, but you can see how chunky it is. And this will turn a really nice orange, so I use this for pumpkins and chilies. Colors are made from rare earth metals. Magnesium, sulfur go into yellows. Gold is used for red. Silver is used for other things. Cobalt goes into blues. The clear glass that we use to melt, it's fairly inexpensive. When it comes bagged, it looks like ice cubes. So I have my cabinet full of frit, all different colors in here, like aqua blue. And this is kind of my typical color palette that I take with me when I go on the road. Earth colors, dichroic glass, yellows. So one of the first things that you do is just lay out the colors that you're going to be using. And like I said, this is homemade Fritz, so it's not consistent. This is all cultural, the colors. There's a lot of ideas behind it. Yellow, I said, is the color from the north. So for us, if it's a yellow cloud or a yellow flower or yellow anything, it came from the north. And this is the color to remind us to approach life, you know, with a positive attitude. The blues, any shade of blue here is depicting any kind of moisture, rain especially, because, you know, we're dry farmers. This is what Charles also taught me. He said, every so often you'll come across people who have good hearts. Those are the ones that you want to attach yourself to because they will awaken your heart. It helps not to be a smoker. Okay, so now I've got that first one started. I'm just going to start adding my color. Art is meant to heal, is what I understand from a variety of people. When I'm working the glass, but when I'm in the shop alone and I'm producing work, you just kind of get into a zone. You're focusing on the task at hand, but at the same time, your mind is out there. And you clear out a lot of your personal cobwebs. You gain clarity. And in our culture, we say that you're cleansing your heart, in a sense, so it's a part of the healing process. When you're adding color, you got to put a lot on there because as this blows out, that color is just going to go away. So you always have to use a lot of color to retain it. Just like that. This is called sticking it up, and you just try to center it up as best you can. That side that's in the heat now, because it's really cooled down a lot, you have to rebuild the heat back up. So this first time, you know, you have to leave it in there for quite some time, and then you bring it out. The heat is not evenly distributed over the entire vase, so you have to start reheating it to get that heat distribution a little bit more even. So I'm really happy. I'm happy that I got the fellowship. I'm happy that people have come and just shared with me in all sorts of different ways, and they continue to share. I'm happy that I can start sharing with the world that Hopis are not just carving dolls, we're not just making baskets and pottery, we're starting to blow glass.